Today's Menopause Monday is done on the hoof because I'm talking about pelvic floor health and strength. Now, when I used to run many moons ago, after I'd had my children, I did have quite large babies. My son was 9'12", my daughter was 8'3", and I also had quite a lot of damage, but I'm proud. And when I used to run after that, before the glory years of menopause, I found that I would have possibly a little bit of leakage. If I needed a wee, it was a bit of a dribble sometimes. I'm getting, okay, girls, we're talking between ourselves. If there's any men on here, I really apologise. But sometimes if I was having my period and I was using a tampon, I'd realise that when I'd be running, it was fine, because I had a bit of pressure, I suppose, against my urethra, so I wouldn't dribble. So that got me to thinking, well, it must be my pelvic floor that's the problem. Clearly it was. So I started really doing really basic pelvic floor exercises. I actually bought this gadget. It does look a bit like a weird dildo type thing. It's got a spring in between it, because I read that, yes, it's great to do pelvic floor exercises to work on, you know, the sort of the muscles around the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor acts like what you call like a hammock, sort of a diamond-shaped hammock that sort of connects front to back and side to side. And I found this gadget which has got a spring inside, so when you actually insert it and you squeeze it, you're actually pushing against the spring in this gadget. And because you're actually using resistance, you know, you're not just using your muscles, you're actually, it's a bit like lifting weights. It's weightlifting for your doodahs. And that made a massive difference. Well then, as with most of these things that we do, we think, oh yeah, it's great, really excited, stayed on point with it for the first few weeks, and then it's just like, oh, I don't know, life got in the way, I stopped using it. And eventually, running and me have a very strange relationship, except for now, because I'm doing a really good running program. And when I went out running again after, I don't know, a few months later, once I'd got back into running, I was having the same problems. So cheap as creepers. Well, now I've realised that there are certain exercises that we can do when we can actually engage our core during the exercise. And like right now, I'm walking, so I could walk. Normally hold my tummy in. I don't really pull it in tight, but I engage my core when I'm walking. Try and stand up. Right, posture is incredibly important for your pelvic floor. But right now, you can't see the difference, but I can feel it. I can engage my pelvic floor, and it makes me feel more upright. My posture is stronger. Sorry, my arm's getting sore. And I feel like I'm just, you know, I am engaging it. I can feel a tightness and a contraction of the muscles. There is nothing to stop any of us when we're walking engaging our pelvic floor. It's a matter of just getting into the habit of doing that. But if you're brand new to pelvic floor health, or, you know, improving the strength of your pelvic floor, what I would suggest you do, and I won't do it today. Next week, I'll do a Menopause Mondays that actually shows you some exercises that you can do which are pelvic floor friendly, because there are some that you should avoid if you've got prolapse or you've got a very weak pelvic floor. But there are some in particular that you can do that are going to strengthen your pelvic floor. So I will show you those. But for today, while you're sat down or while you're lying down, I suggest to do this. We have a front, back and two sides to our pelvic floor. And we can engage all four of those sides. So rather than thinking of like, it's almost like a jellyfish where you're engaging it, goes, rather than thinking of it like that, think about, well, I'm going to do it with you now. Engage the front of it, lift it, tighten the front of your pelvic floor, okay? Now tighten the back of your pelvic floor. Now tighten the sides. The sides are harder. I think my right tightens easier than my left, but you can engage all aspects of your pelvic floor. So don't just think of it as going up and down. And there are, you might say, yeah, well, when you're having a wee, you might stop your flow halfway through. There's quite a lot of research out there that says not to do that. I don't do that personally. However, if you do it and it works for you, I think if you're doing something that's working, stick with it. But I just want you to know that you can actually exercise each aspect of your pelvic floor. You might find it easier by lying down in the first instance, rather than either standing up or sitting, because when we're sitting, there's a lot of pressure on our pelvic floor. It's pushing it down already. Sorry, the wind's just like ugh. And also, if you are carrying excess weight, that is also going to push negatively on your pelvic floor. It's going to increase the risk of prolapse, and it's going to make strengthening your pelvic floor more tricky. So if weight management is an issue, get in touch with me, because I can help you with that. But specifically for this video, I want you to be really cognizant that we have a front, back and two sides that you can work separately. In the morning when you're in bed, before you get up, just focus a few minutes on that pelvic floor. Again, in the evening when you go to bed, just spend a few minutes strengthening, focusing on each aspect of your pelvic floor. If you're working during the day, you're sitting down, or like I was just walking, focus on engaging your pelvic floor, and you'll find it won't happen overnight, but it will start to improve quite quickly, actually. And strong pelvic floor is just, well, I mean, it can enhance so many different aspects of your life. But next week, I will do a video that does pelvic floor strengthening exercises for you, so that you can, you know what to avoid and what to use going forward with your pelvic floor health. But remember, morning and night, do a few minutes, and not just focusing on the whole thing, but front, back and both sides. And when you're walking, remember to engage your pelvic floor. It will improve your posture no end as well. And it really gives you a sense of power. Yeah, girl power. Hope that helps.